What's up, BNN Squad? You're in for a wild story today, filled with surprises and shocking moments. Stick around till the end. Let's begin today's interesting story. As I sit in the quiet solitude of my small apartment, the weight of my past choices presses heavily upon me. I find myself reflecting on profound loss of my marriage to Ryan, a bond one took for granted until the very moment it slipped through my fingers. It is only now, in the stillness of my loneliness, that I realized the true value of what I had lost. A connection forged over 5 years, once filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the warmth of companionship. In the early days of our marriage, life with Ryan felt like a beautiful dream. We lived comfortably, not in extravagance, but in a way that was satisfying and content. Our modest aspirations formed the backbone of our relationship. We talked about travel, about starting a family, about growing old together. Each day began with a shared cup of coffee, the steam curling up into the air, and ended with the comfort of each other's presence as we navigated the world hand in hand. Those moments were simple yet profound, the kind that create an unshakable foundation for a life built together. However, everything changed when Ryan received a promotion to senior management. With this advancement came a shift in his demeanor, a transformation that I failed to recognize at first. The moment he stepped into that corner office, the glint of authority in his eyes began to dull the warmth that once radiated from him. Suddenly, the man I had loved was replaced by someone who seemed to take pleasure in exerting control, particularly over our finances. It felt as if the very air between us had thickened, weighed down by unspoken rules and expectations. I found myself tiptoeing around the subject of money, an area where we once shared decisions freely. In response to Ryan's newfound control, I spiraled into a place of secrecy and rebellion. I opened a clandestine account, a hidden refuge where I could withdraw funds without his scrutiny. My justification was simple. It was my way of reclaiming a semblance of independence. Yet, as I indulged in this act of defiance, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of selfishness gnawing at my conscience. I was not just protecting myself. I was betraying the very trust that had been the cornerstone of our marriage. It was during this tumultuous time that I confided in Laura, a carefree co-worker whose laughter was infectious and whose perspective on life was refreshingly unburdened. Her sympathy became a balm for my wounded spirit, but it also warped my judgment. With every conversation, her words seeped into my mind, coloring my view of Ryan with shades of negativity. I began to see him not as my partner, but as an adversary, amplifying my frustrations and distorting the love we once shared. As the resentment I harbored festered, our communication deteriorated into a series of misunderstandings and hurtful exchanges. I can vividly recall the day it all erupted, a public confrontation that played out like a tragic scene in a poorly written drama. In a moment of anger, I humiliated Ryan with my words, exposing our private struggles to a room full of witnesses. The look of shock and pain on his face will forever be etched in my memory, a stark reminder of the depths to which I had fallen. That was the moment I crossed an invisible line, signaling a breakdown that could not be repaired. In the aftermath of that confrontation, Ryan made a choice that I had never anticipated. Feeling disrespected and deeply hurt by my public outburst, he decided to file for divorce. The finality of his decision hit me like a cold wave, washing over me and leaving me breathless. The life we had built together crumbled in an instant, and I found myself grappling with the reality of my actions, the suddenness of our separation leaving a chasm in my heart. As the dust settled, I faced the consequences of my choices, and the fallout was swift and merciless. My life spiraled into chaos. I moved into a small, sparsely furnished apartment, each bill a harsh reminder of my newfound solitude. The walls, once a canvas for shared memories, now echoed with silence, amplifying my regrets. I was alone, grappling with the realization that I had sacrificed my happiness, my love, and my future for fleeting moments of pride and anger. In the quiet hours of the night, I often find myself wishing for a chance to turn back time, to take back those hurtful comments that had so carelessly escaped my lips. I long for the wisdom to learn from my mistakes, to understand that love requires nurturing, patience, and understanding. I now carry the weight of my choices, a constant reminder of the heartbreak I have caused, not just to Ryan, but to myself. And as I reflect on my past, I hope that one day I can find the strength to forgive myself and perhaps, in some distant future, build a new life filled with the lessons I've learned through this painful journey.